Welcome to today's session. Uh, we have just completed our very important discussion on supply. We have to take up some practical questions. This evening, we have a session which has been scheduled. In the evening session, we would take it up a complete practical discussion, some small case study questions, MCQ on a whole term called as supply. I give you at least 3-4 hours of time for you to review. I request you to review whatever you have in hand, whatever you have scribbled, whatever you have as screenshot, X, Y, Z, as the case may be. So be prepared for a clear discussion on section 7. I want a lot of you to take it up on the right spirit and answer it. Maybe our experiences is few MCQ we discussed there appeared in exams. So some of those MCQ already appeared in exam. So that discussion would give you a better understanding that yes, you have a better grip on the supply. Now, what are we going to do? We are getting into the next step of our discussion, which is going to be levy under GST, a levy of GST. Before we step into levy, which the law came out and highlighted, there could be a possibility of intra-state supply levy of GST and interstate supply levy of GST. Two kinds of levy we have. I'm sure you can recollect the dual model of GST, intra-state supply, interstate supply. How someone is going to determine whether it is going to be a intra-state supply or how someone is going to determine whether it is going to be a interstate supply. That discussion, which solely based on a topic called as nature of supply. In fact, the nature of supply can only be broadly classified into only these two types. Either it is an intrastate supply or it is an intrastate supply. Sir, how I can make that decision whether it is an intrastate supply or interstate supply? For which we have to learn section 7, 8, 9 of IGST Act. Let me repeat. Section 7, 8 and 9 of IGST Act discuss about interstate supply and intrastate supply. How this decision is made, whether something would be called as an interstate supply or intrastate supply. Is it based on location of supplier? Is it based on location of recipient? In case if you're going to ask me how, that discussion you leave it solely towards your provisions that we are going to take it. There are some small understandings here. We have to keep up that understanding, and then we can move forward relating to it. Just a Section 7 comes out and discuss about when something would be called as interstate supply, and section 8 comes out and discuss about when something would be called as intrastate supply. So when a transaction will be called as interstate supply is a decision made by section 7. Section 7 of IGST Act comes out and discuss. Sir, how the decision is made? Two elements are taken up here. Element number 1, location of supplier. Location of supplier, and element number 2, most important element, place of supply. If location of supplier and place of supply, if both are going to be located in two different territory. If location of supplier and place of supply are going to be in two different state, two different union territory, a state and a union territory, then it will be treated as interstate supply. The location of supplier I can understand, where the supplier is registered, where the supplier is located, where the supplier has his office, where the supplier from where he does his business. I can understand location of supplier, sir. But how am I going to understand place of supplier? I'm sure you would have not forgotten our basic discussion of topics. There, I think we had one dedicated topic called as place of supply. Correct. We have a very specific topic called as place of supply. 4 sections are dedicated for place of supply. Place of supply of goods will be determined separately. Place of supply of services will be determined separately based on the provision. So, once a person is in a position to determine for my transaction, place of supply is this. Then only he can go forward and determine whether his transaction will be a interstate supply or intrastate supply. Sir, how place of supply is determined? As I earlier mentioned, that's a separate discussion. Section number 10, section number 11, section number 12, section number 13 discuss about place of supply. So 7, 8, 9 discuss about nature of supply. 10, 11, 12, 13 discuss about place of supply. So based on the transaction, you will determine place of supply. Once you determine place of supply, we'll come back to nature of supply, make analysis. If location of supplier and place of supply, if location of supplier and place of supply, if both of them are going to be located in two different states, two different union territory, a state and a union territory, no doubt the said activity would be treated as interstate supply. How I can make this confirmation, sir? See through it. Location of supplier is in state 1. Place of supply as per section 10, 11, 12, 13. In 4 sections you can determine. But we are restricting our discussion to place of supply as per section 10 and as per section 12. Why, sir? Domestic transactions. Section 10 talks about domestic transaction of place of supply. 12 talk about services of domestic transaction of place of supply. Sir, in end of the day, what should I be in a position to determine? If a transaction is shown to you, you should be in a position to determine place of supply. That's all. Beyond that, nothing. Okay, I'm sorry. Beyond, you should be in a position to determine nature of supply. Beyond that, nothing. I'll take you through 1 or 2 examples in your chat box. Reply to me there. As a practical problem, after completing the topic, we will go forward. We will take it up sometime later. For the topic as a whole, we will take it up sometime later. Not. R Limited in Andhra Pradesh supplied goods to S Limited in Tamil Nadu, and place of supply is Tamil Nadu for the said supply. Our first question, R Limited is in Andhra Pradesh, supplied goods to S Limited in Tamil Nadu. Place of supply for the said transportation of goods or said supply of goods is Tamil Nadu for the said supply. What is going to be your nature of supply? Yes, quick. Harish, no hurry. Ishwar, no hurry. Read through the question and relax. I'm not finding any fault here. Just sharing you. Read through the question once it appears on your chat box and then proceed. Yes, R Limited in Andhra Pradesh supplied goods to S Limited in Tamil Nadu and place of supply. See, if my question is going to be testing you on nature of supply topic, I will give place of supply. Okay. There is another possibility. I want you to test place of supply itself. Then that will be separate. Here, question will give place of supply. You should be in a position to know location of supplier, place of supply. Both of them are in what? Same state or different state? Different state. Then it will be treated as interstate supply. So, yes, a few of you answered. Now, NOS, it is not Tamil Nadu. Nature of supply is interstate supply. Nature of supply will be interstate supply. In fact, your answer should go like this. I would, because it was a first answer. A few of you, you would come out and say, location of supplier is R Limited, who is located in Andhra Pradesh, and place of supply is TN. Our location of supplier is Andhra Pradesh and place of supply is going to be TN. Hence, nature of supply will be what? Interstate supply. You should bring back all this in a statement form when you write a descriptive question. Or if it is going to be a MCQ, select the one that is based on the best answer. Done? Yes. So location of supplier and place of supply decides. In place of supply also give weightage only to domestic transaction. Sir, where it is so told, sir, goods supplied are subject to section 10. Services supplied are subject to 12. When you go back to a place of supply discussion, on place of supply discussion, you will understand that section 10 and section 12 discuss about only place of supply of domestic transaction. It does not discuss about something else. It discusses only about place of supply of domestic transaction. Coming back here, in case of import of goods or in case of import of services. In case of import of goods or in case of import of services, always in case of import of goods or in case of import of services, always it will be treated as interstate supply. In case of import of goods, Deepa, you have raised hand. Wait a minute. In case of import of goods, in case of import of services, always, look at my wording, always it will be treated as interstate supply, where it is told, sir. Section 7 again comes out and highlights, in case of imported goods, it will always be considered as interstate supply. In case of import of service, from foreign country, you are importing a service. From foreign country, you are importing a goods. Always, I'm using a word very carefully, always it will be treated as interstate supply. Sir, is there is a possibility I can think it's something else and all? There is no possibility at all. It cannot be thought in any other way. It has to be construed that it is going to be a interstate supply. Now, having said always it would be treated as interstate supply, Sir, my importer is in Tamil Nadu. Goods are imported in Tamil Nadu, of course, from Hong Kong, Japan, Canada, somewhere. Nothing doing. Don't come out with that logic at all. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Import of goods, interstate supply. Import of service, interstate. What do you mean by import of goods or import of service? Import of goods, goods coming from a place outside India to India. Import of service, recollect we have already read, supplier outside India, recipient in India, place of supply in India. It would be treated as import of services. Deepa, you have raised your hand. Yes, Deepa.
Sir, sir, in that practicals you said that how to answer in examinations. In that, no need to mention the section, sir.
You have to mention the section.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Section mentioning is default. Okay.
Okay, sir.
I am not pushing you for a subsection at your level when it is going to be a descriptive writing. Okay.
Okay.
Subsection,
Okay.
I leave it to you. At least a base section is required. It would not take minutes for me to share you as per 7.1 of IGST Act. Consciously, I refrain at your level. 7 of IGST Act, understanding the distinction. 7 of CGST and SGST Act is supply. 7 of IGST Act is nature of supply. Understanding the distinction itself is a more nice experience. 2, from an exam perspective, if you put descriptive questions are there, it is always ideal to quote a correct section number when you are sure.
Thank you, sir.
Coming back here, as part of the whole discussion, 7 subsection 2 and 7 subsection 4 came out and highlighted import of goods, interstate supply, import of service, interstate. So, 7 subsection 5. A very specific section which talks about supply of goods or services or both when supplier is located in India and place of supply is outside India. A very interesting entry. Supplier is in India, place of supply outside India. In which situation it will be, sir? Predominantly export related situation only it will be like this. Supplier in India, recipient outside India, place of supply outside India. Sir, it looks like opposite of import. Correct. Think for a minute. Import of what is it? Goods or import of services. More specifically on import of services. Supplier outside India, recipient in India, place of supply in India. Then you will call it as import of service. Supplier in India, recipient outside India, place of supply outside India, then you will call it as export transaction. Again, export would export of goods, export of services. Whatever might be, it would be treated as interstate supply. Export of goods, export of services. A last entry before parking. Any supply of goods or services to a SEZ or by a SEZ. I am not sure some of you could be able to highlight the difference in the words. Supply of goods or services to SEZ or a developer of SEZ, by SEZ or a developer of SEZ or a unit in SEZ, it would always be treated as interstate supply. Sir, what sir, you are saying everything as interstate supply? I'm not saying everything as interstate supply. Location of supplier and place of supply are going to be two different states, two different union territory, a state and union territory, it would be treated as interstate supply. Import of goods, interstate supply. Import of service, interstate supply. Export of goods, interstate supply. Export of service, interstate supply. Supply of goods to special economic zone, SEZ. There are identified central government approved special economic zone, or otherwise called as a zone from where you can export goods, import goods without payment of taxes. Okay, we would have come across in your nearby area a SEZ, some wordings will be there. Special economic zone. Idea is majority of the fellows in SEZ will only export goods or import goods from foreign country. So they can import goods without payment of tax, export goods without payment of tax. Advantage for them to that extent cash flow they save, and from income tax perspective, next 10 years profit, you are not liable for it. So points for our discussion. In case if they are going to be a special economic zone, then those special economic zone are treated as a separate purposes. Ishwar, both Ishwar, CK and Ishwar P, both of you raised SEZ means what? I think by this time you would have got clarified. It is a special place, a area where only exporters will be generally located. If you're going to do a very big export business, then you will be part of that location. Take a place like Chennai, you have Mahindra World City, a special economic zone. You have MEPS, another special economic zone. Every place you have places in Bombay, you have places in Kolkata, every place. You have place in Tada, that Shri City in Tada is again a special economic zone. It's a designated area by the government where all those predominantly who export, they can go into that place. And normally, if you are a businessman outside SEZ, if you're going to if you're going to import goods, you are liable to pay customs duty and all. If you are in SEZ and if you import goods, you are not liable to pay customs duty. No duties, not customs duty, no duty at all. Duty free goods will come, process the goods, send it back. So you can ask me, is it not a loss to government? Come on, that goods never came to India at all. Because goods came, this fellow was processed and what? Sent back outside. Is it going to spoil your domestic market? Is it going to happen something to you? Nothing happens. So possible. Done. So in case of special economic zone, any supply to special economic zone or any supply by special economic zone, both are always treated as interstate supply. Yes, Ishwar.
Sir, in case of special economic zone, there is a Mumbai to Ahmedabad SEZ, no, sir. It connected 6 cities as a special economic zone, sir. If the manufacturing sector located in that specific state of SEZ is known as interstate supply for that state, sir.
SEZ is a identified area, sir. Okay. It will be compounded. It will be an identified area. It can be a 10-acre park. It can be a 100-acre park. It can be a 1,000-acre park. Okay. A manufacturing company will be inside it. A service providing company will be inside it. A trading company will be inside that location. And they will do business from there. Then they are called as a SEZ unit. Understood?
No, sir. I understood what you said, sir. But that Ahmedabad to Mumbai sector, there are 6 states containing the SEZ, sir.
Okay.
In which in separate each state there is a manufacturing sector, and another state there is another manufacturing sector. The transaction between those interstates, sir.
One minute, sir. Ahmedabad and Pune, where is 6 states?
Sir, Delhi to Mumbai, sir.
Delhi to Mumbai. Okay.
There are the full joint is a SEZ, sir.
It is a road. Are we discussing about a road here?
No, sir.
Correct?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
or no? It's a road that connects 6 SEZ. That's all. Like every road has an importance. That is a road that connects 6 SEZ. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now SEZ is a place which is demarcated by barricades, demarcated by walls. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now what is your doubt, Semi?
No, sir. The total area, I thought the total area was SEZ, sir.
No, don't think. That is what I'm saying. No, it is a bounded area. Have you ever had an opportunity to see a embassy, Ishwar?
Sir.
Huh?
No, sir.
No. You never saw an American embassy in
I
Chennai?
saw the embassy. I didn't go inside it, sir.
No one will go inside unless otherwise you're going to make an application for visa. You saw from outside,
Yes, sir.
huh? It's bounded by a wall.
Yes, sir.
Any idea you are aware of what is the importance of an embassy?
Sir, it gives visas to the person who.
That and all they do. Something special about embassy.
The embassy belongs to the United States of America, sir.
Agreed. That place itself, that bounded wall inside place, no. That
Yes, sir.
place itself is called as America. Sir, that is India, sir. No, designated area. Understand the importance of the law. It calls itself as a designated area. If a person, they should not do like this, but if a person throw a small stone inside the embassy, it is equivalent to throwing stone in USA. Understood the importance of the space?
Yes, sir. Sir, my doubt is when the SEZ is shared by 2 states, what will be the.
No, approval itself will not be given. நீ கேக்குற மாதிரி கடலே இல்ல. Okay, it is not possible at all. There will be a clear demarcation. It's land based. There is a SEZ committee. It should get approved. Okay, it is not like yesterday somebody will think they'll put a SEZ and tomorrow they'll come up with it. No, it is years. It is years of efforts, and all these are all. We are not aware of many things. That is why all these questions comes. My only suggestion here is very simple. Understand SEZ as a designated area where where all the exporters will come and have a space. If you are going to do a big time export business or majority you will do a export business, you will be farming part of that space. That's all.
Okay, sir.
So coming back here, getting into the further discussions, be it a import of goods, be it a export of goods, be it a import of service, be it an export of service, all those supply to SEZ or supply by SEZ, or where location of supplier and place of supply is going to be two different states. Location of supplier and place of supply is going to be two different union territory. Location of supplier and place of supply is going to be a state or union territory. On these all 8 identified transactions, it would always be treated as interstate supply. So make yourself comfortable. We have raised all those points associated Sumit Jain, I am not able to understand your question. It is said to be exempt. What is that? What is said to be exempt? You raise your questions. Yes, Sumant. Yes.
Sir, my doubt was regarding this IGST.
Ah,
Regarding export, you said that if the supplier is located in India and the place of supply is outside India, that is export. From India to outside, we are going to deal with the goods or service.
hmm.
It is said that it is exempt, sir. Yesterday, I attended one Zoom session from my friend. He was saying like that. So I'm asking, sir, whether I am right or wrong.
No, no, no. It is not exempt. It's not.
Because in case of import, it was clear to me. He said that the IGST will be applied because from outside to India, it is
It's
coming
not
that place.
exempt. It's not. Don't get carried away by that. That all people say very casually. It is not exempt. It
Okay,
is
sir.
taxable. A special benefit is given. As of now, understand it as taxable. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Your general understanding, when people generally speak, they will not give weightage to their own
No,
understanding.
sir, it was a faculty, reputed faculty from other academy. There was a Zoom meeting. So in that basis, I got this query. Otherwise, I trust you, sir.
Taxable. Okay.
And
You'll
sir,
understand over a
regarding
period of time.
registered and
You'll understand over a
unregistered.
period of time. It is taxable. You'll
Okay,
understand over
sir.
a period of time. Okay. We have a
Yes, sir.
lot more to go. Okay. If you want me to explain why it is not tax is not paid, then it's a discussion by itself. Over a
No, sir.
period of time.
Later on, we will see, sir, when you come to the topic.
All people don't know to usage the words. Sometimes they will erroneously use the word zero rated for exempted, non-taxable, non-taxable.
Yes,
Every
sir.
word has its importance. Here we would again stick on it is taxable. There are some relaxations given by government. It is something like if you do a business inside SEZ, am I liable for GST? Yes, you are liable.
Yes,
If
sir.
I supply goods or services to SEZ, am I liable for GST? Yes, I am liable. But there are certain benefits that allows me not to supply. Okay, because there are certain benefits that I'm going to claim and not going to pay GST, it doesn't mean it is exempted. Okay, that's what is the submission. Done.
Okay, sir.
Coming back here, Section 8 of IGST Act comes out and discuss about it. What is intrastate supply? Opposite of interstate supply. If location of supplier and place of supply, understand that important word, place of supply. Nowhere we refer about location of recipient. We damn don't bother about location of recipient. Location of supplier and place of supply is going to be in the same state. If location of supplier and place of supply is going to be in the same state, then yes, it would be treated as intra-state supply. So how that is possible? Very simple. Location of supplier Tamil Nadu, place of supply is also Tamil Nadu. It would be treated as intra-state supply, but with caveat. Three exceptions to this general rule. What are the three exceptions? In case of goods imported, it's too heavy. In case of goods imported, always it would be treated as a interstate supply. Let me repeat. In case of goods imported, always means always it would be treated as interstate supply. Similarly, in case of supply of goods or services to SEZ or supply of goods or services by SEZ, always it will be treated as interstate supply. So this two position we already saw, correct? We already saw. So there is no change in that. Something new that we are going to learn here is in case of a foreign tourist. Sir, where it is told foreign tourist, section 15 of IGST Act will discuss about foreign tourist. In case of foreign tourist, services provided by foreign tourist, Section 8 is not applicable. He has to go to Section 7 only. Sir, foreign tourist means what, sir? Now leave all the testing times and all. In a normal situation, from Italy, Mr. Pete Battu comes down to India as part of his travel plans. He goes, visits various places, does some activity or attend some business meeting. Once that is over, he goes back. When he goes back, he want to buy something very special for from which is available only in India. Because he came to Kerala, he procured some spices. Because he came to Chennai, he want to buy a silk saree. Those products he takes back outside. When the vendor sell to Mr. Pete Battu, Mr. Pete Battu is a foreign tourist. At that time, though they sell within the state, it would not be treated as intra-state supply. It should be treated as interstate supply. Hope you could able to appreciate a fact that is associated here. Why, sir? Again, if you are more bothered about why foreign tourist alone this treatment, why not to an Indian person? When a foreign tourist goes out of India, think he goes to the respective international airport, gets into the terminal. Once he gets into the terminal, there will be a first security check. Once security check is over, there is something called as immigration. What do we mean by immigration? He would have come with visa. He is now going out. How he came, how he did, what activity he did, whether visa is valid or not, proofs are all right or not. Once immigration is over, when he enters, there will be a customs refund channel. There he will go and give his goods bill. Goods bill. Goods bill he will give. He will say, I have procured some silk saree. I have procured some, products of spices and all. On that, there is a GST of 10,000 rupees. Sorry, not 10,000. GST of 1,800 rupees. Government will give back him 1,800. He'll collect that 1,800, go to the exchange counter, and then what? Convert into his foreign currency, and he'll walk back. All this happens at the back end. Be aware of it. That is why government comes out and says, in case of foreign tourists, the activity would be treated as interstate supply, not as intrastate supply. Exceptional discussion. Location of supplier, place of supply, same state, it would be treated as intrastate supply. Followed by a last discussion on this topic. In case if it is going to be relating to export of goods, if it is going to be import of goods, that would not come, absolutely that would not come part of your Section 8 at all. It would not at all form part of your Section 8. It is straight away covered only by your 7. 1 minute. I'll take up some questions over here. I want all of you to answer. Let me repeat, by this time all of you understood. Don't expect a separate discussion on practical problem, all that stuff and all. I think I've been repeating quite some time. On the go, we have to pick up, do problems and walk away. So to start with, a first situation. Location of supplier, Tamil Nadu. Location of recipient Andhra Pradesh, place of supply Andhra Pradesh. Your nature of supply will be, so all that you need to close over here is intrastate supply or interstate supply. Is it intra or inter? Quick, quick, quick. I want lot of you, means lot of you to answer. Already we know what I am capable of. I'm very clear. Ashwin, check your answer. Shreya Varshini K, check your answer. Then Prithviraj, check your answer. Wrong. Question number 2. No hurry. Read through the question. Location of supplier is Pondicherry. Location of recipient is Tamil Nadu. Place of supply is Pondicherry. Ishwar, Sushmita, Sashi Kumar, okay, ஈஸ்வர் சிகே எல்லாம் காலி. என்ன அர்ஜென்ட்னே எனக்கு தெரியல. Revised answer, Ishwar, okay. Cyril, check your answer. Vaishnavi, check your answer. Vaishnavi V. John Abby, check your answer. Sumit, check your answer. Revised answer is through Ishwar P. Harish, nice. Duru, check your answer B. Prem Kumar, check your answer. Deepa, check your answer. எல்லாம் ட்ராப்ல விழுந்தாச்சு. Pooja Jain. Location of supplier Pondicherry. Place of supply Pondicherry. Intra or inter? Sir, but recipient Tamil Nadu, sir. Why you are bothered about that? Question is very clear. Location of supplier Pondicherry, place of supply Pondicherry means it will be what? Intra or inter. So don't question the question. How that is possible? Problem with us is with today's maturity level, you cannot think a transaction like this. Be with me for another 15 hours. Okay. After that, you will have one maturity level. With that maturity level, you will feel that this answer, these questions are all right. None of the question is a wrong question here. It's only the maturity level has to be increased. Deena Divakar. Check. Check, check, check. Answer is wrong. Location of supplier is in Maharashtra. Location of recipient is in Maharashtra. Place of supply. No hurry, wait, I have not completed the question. After that, don't scream at me. I'm very clear. When I say question completed, then only question completed. Yes. Location of supplier Maharashtra, location of recipient a Maharashtra company, but which is located in a SEZ or a SEZ unit. Place of supply is going to be Maharashtra. Yes. Inter. Quick. Start playing the game. See, once you understood the game, it has to be played with a different speed. அவ்வளவுதான். ஆப் கேமுக்கும் ஜிஎஸ்டி கேமுக்கும் ஒன்றும் வித்தியாசமே இல்லை, எல்லாம் ஒண்ணுதான். One minute. Ashwin, check your answer. Harish B, check your answer. Ashwin's, check your answer. Ishwar P, check your answer. Gauri B, check your answer. I see a lot of you are answering. Happy for you. Janvi, check your answer. Anand, check your answer. Don't be bothered that you are called up here and all. இதெல்லாம் வாழ்க்கையில சகஜம். ஜெயிச்சவனுக்கு மட்டும்தான் தெரியும் எத்தனை தடவை விழுந்திருக்கான்னு. Abdul, check your answer. Sumit Jain, check your answer. What happened, Sumit? All the third, I think this is the second question on the row. Riya Kanchana, check your answer. Vidya Shankar, check your answer. Something we read, no? Harish, check your answer. Pooja Jain, check your answer. Sir, location of supplier, place of supply, same state. No, sir. Come on, agreed. But it is an SEZ unit. In case of supply to SEZ, it would be treated as what? Always intrastate supply. Always interstate supply. Yes or no? We saw it or not? When we read on the third slide, 7.5, when somebody was asking me what is SEZ and all, why we made that discussion? When any supply is to SEZ, always it will be treated as interstate supply. Some of you who got it intra, you concentrated on location of supplier and the place of supply. It never struck you that there is a mention of the word called as SEZ. Okay. The moment you see that SEZ, where my supply to SEZ, supply from SEZ, both will always be treated as interstate supply. Done. True. Yes. So understand here you should also give weightage to units. Location of supplier TN India. Location of recipient Wuhan, China. Place of supply is no hurry. It's an import of goods transaction where a importer. No. One mistake here. Location of recipient will be in India. Location of supplier in the Wuhan, China. Yes. Place of supply will. Yes. Quick. Sorry. Data entry error. Ishwar. Intrava. Super. Imported, not imported. No, I am asking. Interstate supply, intrastate supply. That's all. Your question will be only this two. Intra, inter. That's all. Matter ends there. I don't want imported, exported. That and all you write when you are asked for a descriptive question. I am on a very clear question here. Intrastate supply, interstate supply. Among these two, what you are going to select? A lot of you answer it as interstate supply for question number D. In case of import of goods, it will be interstate supply. Except a few, you have been asked to question number 5. Inter. Whoever answered till now, all of you answered it right. Good. Sir, any tough question is possible here. Possible. I'll ask. Location of supplier of a service is in TN. Location of recipient of service is Andhra Pradesh. Place of supply Question number 6. All three different. Sir, how a combination like this and all is possible? All are possible. Because it is possible, only we come out and give you question. Just like that and all, it is not tested. Every transaction here with a later maturity level, you will understand all this is possible. Whoever answered till now, all of you answered it correctly. Good. Ishwar P. Napa Ishwar enache. Where you are finding it difficult? I don't understand. சீனிவாசன் பாரேன் அதுக்குள்ள போயிட்டான் சார். எப்படி அது நடக்கும், அது நடக்கும், இது நடக்கும்ன்றதுக்கு ஆன்சர்லாம் கொடுக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டான் சார். த்ரூ VPN if we provide service it is possible. I'm not sure how many of you can appreciate what is VPN. Okay, if you could appreciate it, then yes, good. Shreyavarshini, yes, I have unmuted you.
Okay, please repeat the example of that exemption, sir. Goods imported into India till they cross the Indian frontiers.
What exemption?
The exemption under intrastate supply.
Exemption, I don't understand now.
Except they've given no under intrastate supply, except for goods imported into India till they cross the Indian customs frontier. Can you please repeat that point?
Where it is given like that?
Sir, in slide number 1 second, sir. 39, sir. Yes, sir. The second one. Second point.
This one.
39.
I don't know. I don't have the
Next slide. 1 second.
This one.
No, sir. Next one.
This one.
Yes, sir. This one. The second one. Goods imported into India till they cross Indian customs frontier.
Import.
Yes, sir. Okay.
This is, see, when it is import, you will treat it as interstate supply, no?
Yes, sir.
It should not be treated as an intrastate supply. That is why it is not exempt, except.
Yeah. Except, okay.
Except.
Yes, sir.
Not exempt.
Okay.
That's what, when exempt word came, I'm down.
Okay.
See, this exempt word is a dangerous word. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is except. This transaction is not considered here.
Yes, sir.
Because your importer also will be in India, Tamil Nadu. The
Yes.
place of supply also will be Tamil Nadu. Don't come out with the logic. Boss, if it is an international transaction, central government alone have an exclusive right to tax. That is
Yes.
exclusive. Understood?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Done. Thank you. Slide number எல்லாம் கண்ட்ரோல் வச்சு படிக்கிறீங்களா? பயமுறுத்துறீங்க பாருங்க. Inter. All of you told inter only, no? Good. Sir, do we have anything more to discuss? All we have discussed. V1 situation we have to discuss. I thought it is not required. I will discuss that also. Shreya, you still have doubt?
No, sir. Sorry. I forgot to lower my hand.
Yeah. Yes. Karthik, I'll unmute you. Yes.
Sir, on the previous slide, that is section 7, subsection 5, sir. In the third point, can you explain, sir?
நான் போலப்பா. நான் இன்னும் போகவே இல்லை.
Okay, sir. Next slide போட்டதால மிஸ் பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னு.
இல்லப்பா.
Okay.
இல்லப்பா. அது level 2. நான் இன்னும் level 1ல தான் இருக்கேன்.
Okay, sir.
போகவே இல்லை. கார்த்திக், நீ எப்போதுமே இப்படிதான் கேள்வி கேட்பியா என்ன? Good that you are concentrating. But நான் இன்னும் டச் பண்ணல. Consciously that is kept open. Okay, that's exceptional point. Yes. No. So, hope all of you got all these 6 answers right. Okay. location of supplier, location of recipient, and place of supply. Those three informations are given. Predominantly, we are more bothered about location of supplier and place of supply. Sometimes to know whether the supplier is an SEZ unit or otherwise, for those purposes, maybe location of recipient, location also not relevant. What is the type of recipient alone is important and relevant to us. Beyond that, nothing great associated over here. That sums up our complete discussion on your small topic called as nature of supply. Moving forward from here, getting into a special discussion. What is this special discussion? See, there might be an exceptional situation where a transaction is neither covered under any of the interstate supply nor covered under intrastate supply. Is it possible? Possible. Exceptional transaction. Possible. Maybe with today's discussion, you will not be able to appreciate a fact. I'll try my best. If you could able to understand that, we will take it forward. Otherwise, as such, we will understand it and leave it here. Okay. This time, location of supplier is TN India. Location of recipient is London, UK. Place of supply is TN India. I want to know from you the nature of supply. Yes. Nature of supply. Yes. Or location of supplier TN India. Location of recipient London, UK. Place of supply TN India. I get both the answers. Some of you come out and say intrastate supply. Some of you come out and say interstate supply. And I'm not finding fault with any of those answers. Let me be very conscious. Yes. No. No. If you say intra, again, if you say inter, both ways, it would be answer. But I want all of you to get reminded that when it comes to location of supplier and place of supply, both of them in the same state, they should be either covered by section 10 of IGST Act or section 12 of IGST Act. Unfortunately, this place of supply is determined as per section 13 of IGST Act. So that also matters, sir. That's what I told, an exceptional discussion. It's not your regular discussion. Sir, where it is there, I think I have highlighted once or twice that respective portion. Okay, come back here. Now concentrate on this. The place of supply should be determined as per section 10. The place of supply should be determined as per 12. I have highlighted. The place of supply should be determined as per section 12. The place of supply of service should be determined as per 12. Now, the place of supply determined is neither as per section 10 nor as per 12. Sir, in all the other situations that we discussed earlier, in all the other situations, it was as per 10 and 12. That is why we never pressed. Now, for this situation, it is determined, but it is as per section 13. It is determined as per section 13. Okay. Now, how to determine nature of supply? Can I go by the simple wording, location of supplier and place of supply? Both of them are two different countries. So, both of them are same state. So it would come as a intrastate. It would be a interstate supply. I'll rephrase it. This last transaction G will not be covered by intrastate supply. Sir, why it will not be covered by intrastate supply? Again, read through the entry very clearly. The last entry G will come out and say your place of supply has to be as per either section 10 or as per section 12. The place of supply as per in the question G is determined as per section 13, which is a separate section. That is why those exceptional discussion will come up. When supply of goods or services is not being a intrastate supply. Others. 7.5, the third limb is others. If it is not a intrastate supply, it would be covered as a interstate supply. Sir, then what is the difference between question D and question G? A nice question. In question D, you satisfy the conditions spelled out for export. In question G, you don't satisfy the conditions spell out for export. Okay, that is the next part of it. Okay, because if you satisfy export of goods means, export of service means, supplier should be in India, place of supply outside India, recipient outside India, you will call it as export. Come to G question. Supplier in India, recipient outside India, place of supply in India. Export or not an export, it will be not an export transaction. I am not sure how many of you all appreciated last 10 minutes discussion. If you understood, it is good. Excellent. We will have another opportunity to learn, which will be a discussion on place of supply. So if you could able to understand, yes, well and good. No, sir, my understanding is little lacking. I have to improve on it. I have to take a little more control on it. Possible. We'll wait. We have another opportunity to discuss. The most important area is place of supply. Now, what we should be aware of is how the levy section is splitted. We are more bothered about that. How the levy section is decided. The levy is decided based on intra or inter. How that is decided. The levy section is taken care by how. When I will say intrastate supply, when I would say interstate supply, that decision is more important than all those exceptional decisions that are associated. So this sums up our discussion relating to a small topic called as nature of supply. So what we will do is we'll quickly take a break for 5 minutes. Okay. Rejoin after 5 minutes and get into a new topic, a fresh topic for discussion called as levy under GST. Okay. Take a break for 5-10 minutes, maximum 5 minutes. We will rejoin. Don't exit the room, stay in the room. Welcome back. Before we getting into a very specific question or very specific discussions on levy and collection of tax or on GST, let's raise a fundamental question. Who is liable to pay tax to government? Let me repeat. Who is liable to pay tax to government. He has supplied some goods. He has supplied some services. Is it the supplier responsible to pay tax to government, government, or the recipient is responsible? So the question is over here. Is it your supplier is responsible to government or the recipient, consumer is responsible? From whom tax will be collected is not my question. If you think from whom tax will be collected, sorry, my question is not that. Who is responsible to government? Tomorrow, government will come and catch hold of whose collar? Both supplier and recipient. No, only one person, just for your information. Generally, the liability to pay tax to government is with, like a lot of you typed, okay, a lot of you have typed as supplier. Generally, the liability to pay tax is with supplier. Who has to pay tax to government? Supplier. Because supplier is paying tax to government, government gives the right to the supplier to collect from customer. Your income tax, you cannot collect from your entrepreneur. Sorry, you cannot collect from your employer. It's your income tax, you have to pay. But here, a GST, supplier can able to collect from the customer because supplier is going to pay tax to government. It's just a collection and payment tax. But if in case he has not collected also, tomorrow, the entire challenge is with this person. Done? Yes. Points for our discussion is always the liability to pay tax is with supplier. Predominantly, generally, you can always say. Generally, the liability to pay tax to government. When we say liability to pay tax, we are connecting only with the government because we are discussing from the law front. We are not discussing from a consumer perspective. For us, liability to pay tax means payment to government. Who is liable to pay tax? Generally, supplier is liable to pay tax generally to government. Because supplier is going to pay, supplier will collect from his customer. That story and all is different. That is not the core discussion here. Supplier is liable to pay tax to government. No, coming back here, further discussions on this. Is it only supplier is liable? Government has identified a few transactions. On the identified transaction, supplier will not pay tax, but recipient will pay tax. So, a very exceptional discussion. On certain identified transaction, supplier of the goods, supplier of the service will not pay tax, but who will pay tax? If we are going to discuss, it is the recipient who will pay tax. So do we have situations like that? Yes, we have situations like that also. There are possibilities. There are situations do come up like that also. Now, those situations where we will ask generally the recipients to pay. Your levy under GST can be broadly classified, very broadly levy can be classified into two types. One is called as normal levy. Another one is called as composition levy. One is called as normal levy. Another one is called as composition levy. What is the difference between normal levy and composition levy? Composition levy is applicable only for few people. up to a turnover of 1.5 crores, and in special certain circumstances that the number is different. Composition levy. So normal levy is what applicable through or for majority of the assessee. For certain selected assessee who satisfy certain conditions, there would be a composition. Okay. So coming back here, this normal levy can be further classified into broadly 3 types. But see, all these are all generic discussions, just to have a better grip for you. This normal levy can be broadly classified into 3 types. One. Now, first one would be tax payable. Supplier is liable to pay tax. The first model, where they come out and fix the respective supplier of goods or service is liable to pay. So the liability to pay tax is with the supplier of goods or service. Again, there are exceptional discussions, straight opposite of that. A straight opposite of that would be what, as you all know, asking the recipient to pay tax. Recipient of goods or services to pay tax. Some of us will think, sir, if you ask the supplier to pay tax and if you ask again recipient to pay tax. No, it is not like that. It is or. Either supplier will pay tax or recipient will. Sir, can I understand it with the or? Yes, you have to understand it with a clear or. Sometimes they will ask e-commerce operator of goods or services to pay tax. 90% of the time, always supplier is liable to pay tax. Let me do it. 90%, 90% of the time, supplier is liable to pay tax. Rarely you will ask the recipient to pay tax, or you will ask the e-commerce operator to pay tax. Nowhere the model is confirmed. It will be like this only. Nowhere it is confirmed. Nowhere you have a very specified or a confirmed model. So either supplier or recipient, or rarely e-commerce operator. So I'll give you some examples. Maybe with these examples you can understand what is the normal levy concept. You go to a grocery shop, purchase some items. Think a grocery shop with a little different level. You go to a grocery shop, purchase those goods from the grocery shop. The respective grocery shop, hypermarket, supermarket, in the invoice that they give to you, they collect tax from you. They collect tax from you, but liability to pay is only with the supplier. So that is an example of supplier who is liable to pay. You would not come across a situation like this. Sometime for a notified goods, look at my wording, for a notified goods, they will buy the goods from an agriculturist. Instead of asking an agriculturist to pay tax, it is easy for the government to ask a registered person to pay tax. Agriculturist supply raw cashew to trader. For the government, it is easy to collect tax from the trader and not from the agriculturist. So what government told is, if an agriculturist supply raw cashew to a trader, trader is liable to pay tax under reverse charge. Here, liability, levy is on your reverse charge, normal person. Okay. Followed by e-commerce operator. Sir, who is e-commerce operator? A person who connects supplier and recipient through a information technology website, portal, application. Sir, Amazon, Flipkart, is these people are e-commerce operator? Yes. You can extend that logic. It could be Amazon, Flipkart, Ola, Uber, this, that, Swiggy. You can go on. It does not stop at all. All people who connect. If you think that Swiggy prepares the foods and delivered, I am sorry. I'm sure none of us will think. In case if you think. If we think Amazon is selling goods to you, I am sorry. Amazon is a virtual market portal. It aggregates supplier, it aggregates recipient, connects both of them. Government says on notified transaction, not even on all transaction, on notified transactions. So when it comes to both recipient related transactions and your e-commerce transactions, government is very clear. Only notified goods or notified services. Government is very, very clear. Government don't want to make a mistake, because normally it is whose responsibility? Your supplier's responsibility. So government don't want to make this mistake at all. It is your notified goods, notified services. I'll check. If it is a notified goods, then I will take it. If it is a notified services, then only on notified goods, only on notified services. It's not on all goods, all services. Don't think in that way. Just for your information, e-commerce operation is applicable only for 3 service, notified service. Reverse charge or recipient is liable to pay tax is only on notified 7 goods. Services notified 30 services. That's all. So think service, that's a gamut by itself. You have as of now some 700 different types of services. You have as of now more than 1,900 goods. Among 1,900 goods, only 7 goods government has picked up and told recipient will pay tax. Among more than 700 services, only 30 services government has picked up and told the recipient will pay tax. Sir, balance services, balance goods, sir, forward charge only. In other words, you can call this as FCM, forward charge mechanism. In short, you can call it as forward charge mechanism. Forward charge mechanism means supplier will pay tax. Sir, then when recipient will pay tax, what should I call it, sir? Somebody has already texted me. Okay, I would call it as reverse charge mechanism, RCM. Sir, when e-commerce operator pay tax, you call him as ECO, e-commerce operator liable. Okay, we don't have words and all. Okay. Now, end of this whole discussion, only one takeaway. Let me repeat, only one takeaway, which is a most careful takeaway. That takeaway is, I would ask it as a question itself. Will there be any situation or in any day, one transaction is liable for FCM and RCM and ECO? In any one day, one transaction will apply on all these three? Yes or no? Just want to learn your understanding. Yes or no? Yes or no? Quick. I only want yes or no. That's all. One day, can a product be covered on all these three? You're all very right. No, not at all. Not at all possible. If yes, sir, Sumit, arve varadu. If it is covered under forward charge, it will not be covered under reverse charge. If it is covered under reverse charge, it will not come under forward charge. Okay. And ECO, exceptional discussion, which has nothing to do with both. Okay. If ECO is liable, both forward and reverse is not applicable. In fact, that is the reason why we use a word called as or. A transaction will be covered under forward charge or a reverse charge or rarely what? E-commerce operate. Done? Yes. So come back here. Levy under GST is broadly categorized into two types of levy, a normal levy and a composition levy. Normal levy, tax will be paid on three ways. Sometimes supplier of the goods is liable to pay tax or supplier of service is liable to pay tax. Rarely, recipient of goods or services, more specifically, recipient of notified goods or notified services is liable to pay tax. In fact, if you permit me, I will also do this. Recipient of notified goods or notified services is liable to pay tax, so that unnecessary graphics will not be there. Okay. Now, similarly, when it comes to e-commerce transaction or e-commerce taxation, e-commerce transaction as of now, notified goods is not at all there, only on notified services. Is liable to pay tax. Exceptional transaction. Done. Yes. So, but for few, a lot of you got it right. Now, again, getting back to a little bit of section numbers. This is covered by section 10 of CGST. So, do I need to remember it? I think I have given my answers earlier itself. If something is important, then only I will share. Section 10, yes. Now, section 10 of, no doubt, CGST. Section 10 of CGST Act discuss about composition levy, separate discussion after at least 3 classes, or later only we will go there. Minimum 3 classes or 4 classes, I'm not sure. Minimum 3 classes, later only we will go to their composition levy. Now we will not discuss. Our whole focus will be on normal levy only. Normal levy, as we discussed, three types of persons are covered, 3 types of transactions covered. Now, if supplier and place of supply are going to be in 2 different states, then the nature of supply will be intra or inter, when location of supplier and place of supply generally is going to be in 2 different states, are 2 different states, intra, inter. Ishwar, location of supplier and place of supply, 2 different states. I used a word. If it is two different states, it would be what? Interstate supply. Okay. Same here. In case if location of supplier and place of supply is going to be in same state, then it would be treated as intrastate supply. I believe now all of you will agree on me on one count. Normal levy in case of normal levy will be so what is this green color represents, sir? Green color represents a tax liability in case of intra-state supply. Green line represents a tax levy in case of intra-state supply. As per section 9 of CGST, green color line represents intra-state supply as per section 9 of CGST. Under CGST Act, section 9 subsection 1. Sir, do I need to remember subsection? Yes. 9(1) talks about a taxability. 9(1) talks about a taxability of normal levy where tax is payable by the supplier under section 9(1). In case if you want the recipient to pay tax, then under normal levy, then the section 9(3) and 9(4) discuss about RC. No, sir, I want to know when e-commerce operator is liable in intra-state supply. Then you have to refer back 9(5). By this time you will understand these are all the subsection which will refer to respective transaction. 9(5). Sir, this time it is not intra-state supply. It is going to be a interstate supply. What would happen? First, in case of interstate supply, I am sure you all know what is interstate supply. Section 5 of IGST Act is applicable. In case of interstate supply, it is 5 of IGST Act is applicable. One small correction. Of course, not much relevant to you, but as a concept, intrastate supply means it is a levy of both. Okay, CGST and SGST. Both same section numbers, no change in the section. Interstate supply, section 5 of IGST. Sir, do we need to draw a diagram like this even for interstate supply? Yeah. I'll better target this. Feel it easy. In case if it is going to be a interstate supply, then it would be covered by a different section. It should strike to you, that's all. If it is an intrastate supply, then it is going to be covered by different section. So what do we mean by intra-inter? Very simple. Location of supplier and place of supply are going to be in two different states, two different union territory. Then yes, you will call it. In case if it is an intrastate supply, it is section 5, subsection 1. Location of supplier is in Andhra Pradesh. Place of supply is in Tamil Nadu. It is an intrastate supply. At that time, I cannot use your intrastate supply section. I should use your intrastate supply and say forward charges. Done. In case it is going to be a e-commerce operator who is liable to pay tax, section 5, subsection 5. Sir, the subsection number is not changing. Come on, when you start learning, you will know one word. Okay, that's too much. Except for 2 words change, no change will be there. There they will say intra, here they will say inter. There they will say rate of tax 20, here they will say rate of tax 40. But for it, no change. Coming back here. Sir, if it is reverse charge means, will there be a possibility of interstate reverse charge? Yes, yes, yes. If I buy cashew nut from an agriculturist in Tamil Nadu, I am also a trader in Tamil Nadu, then it is intrastate supply, 9.3 and 9.4 will come. I am an agriculturist in Tamil Nadu, supply goods to a trader in Mangalore, okay. Then it is going to be an intrastate supply. Again, same cashew nut, same trade, different trader. He is liable to pay tax under reverse charge under 5.3 and 5.4. This completes a very detailed, complete diagram. I'm not sure how many of y'all can even appreciate this diagram. Okay, I know the importance of this diagram. How well this diagram today came, it's something great. Okay, no jokes about it. Because at one go, your whole topic, if you want to revise, you want to take a note of your topic very completely, then this is in fact that transaction. At one go, you can take a complete discussion of all those aspects. That sums up. That's the diagram for the day. Okay. So, sir, can you run through all? Yes. Levy under GST can be broadly categorized into 2 types, normal levy and composition levy. So, levy under GST can be broadly categorized into 2 types, normal levy and composition levy. Composition levy is covered by section 10 of CGST Act and 10 of SGST Act. There is no composition levy when it comes to IGST Act. No composition. It is only in CGST law it is there. We will read it later. That's a separate discussion by itself. We'll ignore it. Now our discussion will not reveal it. When it comes to normal levy, which talks about where 3 peoples are brought under the normal levy. Sometimes supplier will pay tax. Sometimes recipient will pay tax. Rarely e-commerce operator will pay tax. Normally, regularly, generally, supplier only will pay tax. Because supplier is going to pay tax, he is the person on the forward, he is the person making the supply. It is called as forward charge mechanism. When supplier pay tax, it is called as forward charge mechanism, or otherwise called as normal charge. Okay, forward charge, FCM is a known one. When a recipient pay tax, we call it as reverse charge mechanism because it's against the model. Government thought it is easy to collect tax from few people than certain other people. Is it easy to collect tax for the commission from an insurance agent or insurance company? Government felt it is easy to collect tax from insurance company. Is it easy to collect tax from a lorry driver or a company who makes payment to him? Government thought it's easy to collect tax from a company. Is it easy to collect tax from a security person who's doing small security services? Or is it easy to collect from a corporate entity? Government thought it's easy to collect tax from a corporate entity than the small security person. So certain identified transaction, look at that word, identified transaction, identified goods, identified services are alone covered under reverse charge. There is another type of levy, people who connect through systems, create applications, put it on the stores and aggregate suppliers and recipients and do business. Those e-commerce operator who is engaging in that transaction, that person is liable to pay tax. Liability to pay tax itself comes as an e-commerce operator who connects the transaction. So coming back here, these are the three broader levies. Not all are applicable in a single transaction. If FCM is applicable, RCM and ECO not applicable. If RCM is applicable, ECO and FCM is not applicable. Is ECO applicable? RCM and FCM is not applicable. I'll ask you one fundamental question. All of us would have had an experience to use Ola or a Uber or all this. You would have had an opportunity to use Ola or Uber. Okay. Now in Ola or Uber, you booked a cab, and a cab driver has reported for the journey. You are a supplier or a recipient. You are a supplier or recipient. A very quick question. You are a supplier or you are a recipient? Answer me. Without answering this, I don't even expect you to type it. Without answering it, at your age, your maturity level, understanding ECO is tough. I'll write and give you. I'll ask one more question. As a recipient, you are a registered recipient or unregistered recipient? As a recipient, you are a registered recipient or unregistered recipient? You are a registered recipient, unregistered recipient. Registered, unregistered recipient. Unregistered. No doubt, unregistered recipient. All of you all right. The supplier is a registered, the supplier is a agent of Ola or Ola's cab driver or he is a independent supplier. The supplier who supplied services, no, obviously that cab driver. Is he a Ola's cab driver or is he an agent of Ola or he is an independent person? Agent means you should go back to Contract Act principle, whatever agent and principle is responsible like that. Is he Ola's cab driver, Ola agent or how it is? Or an independent person, independent supplier of service? As of now, only 3 people got it right. Fourth. Four people only got it right. He is an independent person. Maybe 5 and 6. He is an independent person. Independent means independent person. He has no connection with Ola. One, like how when you signed up and accepted in your mobile, I am interested in booking cab through Ola app. How you told? He has downloaded an app for his version for providing service. He says, I am interested in providing services through Ola. Understand that word. Supply of services through Ola. Ola is then what, sir? A mere aggregator. Let me repeat, a new word. A mere aggregator of suppliers and recipients. Recipients are unregistered. Suppliers are also unregistered. 5,000 cab operators. Individual, independent 5,000 cab operators. They are also unregistered. Supplier is also unregistered. Recipient also unregistered. Look from a government standpoint. Is it easy to collect tax from independent recipients, independent suppliers, or Ola, who aggregate both recipient and supplier? It's easy to collect tax from whom? ECO, Ola, or independent supplier or independent recipient. Understand why e-commerce operators are liable to tax. It's easy for government to collect tax from e-commerce operators. In fact, only a few services, 3 services alone covered under e-commerce operator. Now don't expand your thoughts and go for many things. Just 3. 3 only, sir. 3 services. Just 3 services. Of that, 1 we discussed. The other 2, when we go to the correct time, we will discuss. Understand the logics. Half of the time, we learn something without understanding, without logic, and jump into conclusion before even the question. Before even I'm about to start, people started coming out and saying, Ola liable, this liable. Understand why. If I ask you a particular question, come with that answer. You will not know where is going to be the change. Suppliers are independent. Recipients are independent. It's easy for somebody. It would be easy for me. It is not easy for government to collect straight away tax from the suppliers. Is it? I'll ask you one fundamental question. Do you think as a government it is easy to collect from 5,000 individuals tax, or all these 5,000 individuals are connected through one e-commerce operator? It is easy to collect tax from e-commerce operator. I leave it to you. You decide. You are the best person. If you are going to be tomorrow an administrator of this country, you will collect tax from whom? Is it you will collect tax from the ECO, e-commerce operator, or you will collect tax from the independent supplier who supply through ECO? Whom you will collect tax? It is easy to collect tax from ECO. That is why government brought in this model. It is easy to collect tax from a recipient because that recipient procure from an agriculturist. Agriculturist is an unregistered person. Whereas a trader who do some sizable turnover, he is a registered person. So it's easy to collect tax from the registered person than the unregistered person. Government thought, how I can fix him? He is not a supplier. I cannot ask him to pay tax for supply. No, I can fix him. If you buy goods, then you are liable to pay tax. Can you able to understand the logics of all these options? Forward charge, reverse charge, e-commerce operator. A tax by e-commerce operator. True. Any doubts before we move forward? Yes. Anything? Anybody? Yes. So this would sum up our discussions relating to, is agricultural goods taxable under GST? Later we will learn Ishwar, a lot of agricultural produce are exempted when it is made available to the primary market. Okay. Agricultural goods is very wide word. Maybe I would ask and put it in this way. Rice is a agricultural produce or not an agricultural produce? I just want to know all of your learning. That is why I'm asking. Rice is an agricultural produce or not an agricultural? Take this as a homework, a lot of you. Learn what is agricultural produce and come, my dear. Just for your information, agricultural produce does not include rice. Rice is not an agricultural produce. Paddy is only an agricultural produce. Okay. So your learning of what is agricultural produce is changes. Don't go by any general logics. People will come out and say, I know, they'll just like that say all agricultural produce are exempted. No, not at all. It's not like that. There are agricultural produce which are all taxable. There are other products which are exempted. Sir, then how should I decide based on whether a product is taxable or exempted? You should read the relevant notification, then only you will be able to. So understand, paddy is an agricultural produce. Rice is not an agricultural produce. To the contrary, wheat is an agricultural produce. Okay. In the same note, maybe I'll ask one more question. Cotton, raw cotton. Raw cotton, is it an agricultural produce? Or it is not an agricultural produce? Raw cotton. Raw cotton which they use in the mill for manufacturing. My question is very simple. Raw cotton. Cotton flower is only the agricultural produce. The moment you pluck from the flower, the cotton, okay, then it becomes not an agricultural produce. So your agricultural produce word itself is now getting challenged. So don't have any understanding. Agricultural produce are exempted. This is exempted. That is exempted. Why? Why? We have a separate discussion. At that time, you will know. Okay. Sir, for the time being, sir, no, don't create any understanding like that. That is a problem with us is we ourselves will create one understanding and we have to spend a lot of time in deleting that understanding. So, sorry, cotton, raw cotton is not an agricultural produce. The cotton flower is only an agricultural produce. So a word agricultural produce is more important. This came up here, whether it is an exempted goods or not. That discussion and all comes a lot more late. Be it an exempted goods, be it anything, first it should be taxable or leviable to GST, then only it can get exempted. So all exempted goods are first leviable to GST. So this is your broad scheme, how levy is going to operate. We'll do one thing, today's time will not permit us, given the last 10 minutes of the session, will not permit us to go and step into any of this specific levy and take it up. At this diagram level, yes, I would close today's discussion over here. In the evening session, as I earlier mentioned, we will discuss about your what is it? Supply related transactions. Okay. Arun, I have cautioned you. You are leaving me options, but for throwing you out of the room. Okay. I think I have given enough options. If I want it in a particular way, I want it in particular way. Okay. So hope you understand. That if you behave like a UKG kid or a third standard kid, then I can only say you are not forming part of this activity. Okay. Next time, if I see in the session, before the close of the session, if somebody is having all their names or emojis or all this stuff, I'm left with no option, remove you. I'll speak to the academy. I'll take care of whatever you want. I'm not bothered about it. Or we'll do one thing. I'll stop taking class for all of you. Only two options is there. Mr. Arun, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir.
Arun, could you able to listen?
Yes, sir.
I think I was very conscious. Morning when you are there, you changed it. Again, evening, once about the session is going to close, you have once again renamed it. No, sir, I would behave like this only. If you want to highlight to me, then
Sorry, sir.
no. I don't want your sorry. No apologies, nothing, Mr. Arun. You will behave like this only. We can, you are freely allowed. See, you can be in the way you want. But I am not acceptable for certain things. The problem is with me now. Okay. I am not acceptable. I am not a normal faculty who regularly comes and do whatever you want. They'll accept with you. No, I want a particular decorum. For me, class is next, subject is next, everything is next. You at least get shaped on how you have to behave. Unfortunately, people in our home has not taught that. Now the mistake goes to themselves. In spite of people who say to us,